my Saturday Hodgepodge, my weekly wrap-up of all things bookish, booktube, stuff like that, anything else that I want to talk about. Today, have a really probably short list of things that I plan to get to. Again, I'm having a hard time kind of focusing on anything that is extra, but I am having good reading weeks, and I've been making videos that I'm really happy about and that I like, and I've gotten just absolutely great responses to. So if you responded to the 11 books I hate video, I appreciate those responses, and they were excellent. I really enjoyed them. And then I posted a video about what I referred to as the diverse reading trap, and the show card for that said, kind of a provocative question: should men read books by women to learn about women? And I have to tell you that every time I make a video that is about an idea or some thought that I had, I think, wow, I'm really I sit down and I try to refine what I want to say. And like I said in the show card of that video, I made that video 3 times before I made the version that I put up, because the version I put up, I thought, that's about the best I can do. And so I'm always like trying to be thorough, and I'm trying to think through all directions, but of course I can't possibly. And I got so many great comments on that video. I know not everybody wants to watch that video, and that's fine, but if you do go over there, and even if you don't want to watch the video, read the comments that were left there. They're just so many great comments, and people who had thoughts and ideas and input and nuanced ways of looking at the question I posed. And I just really thought that was great. And for all the kinds of discussion about booktube community and how valuable it is and how much we love it, this is what I love about booktube, that kind of interaction. And the only thing that worries me is that my response to some of those really great, in-depth, long comments is not anywhere near sufficient for the greatness of those comments. So I just want to take a moment to thank you all who've commented on my videos this week, and really anytime, for that interaction, which I really do appreciate. Okay, so this week in reading was actually a little longer than a week, since December I started a new set of books to read in December, and so it's gone. December started in the middle of a week. So the first book I read, it was Train Dreams by Dennis Johnson. I read this as a buddy read from Roz over at Scally Danielling about the books. I'll leave a link to her channel, of course, down below. Always great to read with Roz. It's a really short book, and it's just, my initial reaction, I don't think I was quite as enamored with it maybe as Roz was. She seemed to be more kind of blown away by it. To me, there were things about it that felt familiar. It is set kind of in the American West, kind of right around the, let's say, the nearish end of the 19th century and then into the 20th century. And it kind of involves a lot of the issues and people along the American frontier. And somehow I think it manages to discuss or talk about or portray some of the people who lived in that area, some of the settler people literally who lived in that area, moved to that area, in a way that is at once respectful to the chances that they were taking, and yet I think the book has a tremendous awareness of the damage they were doing to the people whose land that they were stealing directly or indirectly, and to the environment. There are all these beautiful little vignettes, I think, in the book, some of them involving the supernatural, some of them involving absolutely horrible things happening. For such a small book, there's a lot going on, a lot of beautiful writing, a lot of ideas. I mean, there are even ghosts and wolf girls and wolf boys and, sassy widows and, terrible, awful people and, unexpected death and all kinds of strangeness. But it really was a very good book. I'm still not sure that I liked it as much as Roz did, but a very good book. If you haven't read it and you can get your hands on it, it won't take you long to read it. The second book I read, and I read this really in 3 big gulps, was Riders and Lovers by Lilly King. Now, part of the video I made on Thursday is about this, but I didn't really talk about the book and how much I liked it, or whether or not I liked it. And what I would say about this book, and this is the first book by Lilly King I've read, what I would say about this book is this is really professional writing. I mean, I think King knows how to pace her story. She knows how to generate interest in her character. She knows how to leave the hints and clues that you need to kind of know what direction her character's going to go. There are only a few kind of surprises in the story, and there are a lot of tropes. There is at least one big, huge trope in the book. But I really found it to be entertaining, and you know, to be honest with you, that's enough. The story centers around a young woman, well actually, yeah, she's a young woman. She's in her 30s, who is a writer, and she's been struggling to write. She's been struggling with her personal life. She's just experienced a family tragedy. She became disengaged from her father at a young age because of something she discovered about him, and she's essentially on her own and trying to write a novel and trying to navigate the world, incredibly expensive world of Boston, on a waitress's salary while writing this book and living in a crappy apartment. And it, you know, I think it was entertaining. I think there was enough substance there to make it, you know, make it worthwhile. But I do think it was a really entertaining, well-crafted book. That's what I would say about it. And then I did start reading another book from the cart, and that was Visit from the Goon Squad by Jennifer Egan. I am on page 138 of about, I don't know, about 340 pages. I really am hoping to finish this up before the weekend is over and move on to reading something else. This has been a real revelation. This is the third book by Jennifer Egan I've read. I read Look at Me and Manhattan Beach. And this is the third book by Jennifer Egan I've read, and so far I think it's the one that I'm going to like the best. We'll see how it goes. It's a little bit more inventive, a little more creative, a little less safe maybe in its construction and its ambition than Manhattan Beach. But I really am enjoying it, so looking forward to that. I drove my son to work and back one day, and it just so happened to drive my son to work and back that I was listening to the radio instead of an audiobook, which is not something I normally do, but I was listening to the radio instead of an audiobook. And I heard two Smashing Pumpkins songs on the radio that were two of my favorite Smashing Pumpkins songs. And I just started thinking to myself, why don't I have a 90s playlist made up of you know, songs from bands from the 90s that I really liked, of all the time periods in history in which there were music, for all the time periods of my life in which I listened to music. The 90s may be the one that's most underrepresented on my playlist right now, which is odd because, you know, I was kind of the exact right age, I think, for 90s music. I would have turned, let's see, 23 in 1990. So I was kind of the exact right age for that. And so I started thinking, well, what I'm going to do in this video, since to do something I've done in the past and haven't done for a long time, I thought I'm going to list my top 5 Smashing Pumpkins songs, and maybe I'll do this for other bands from the 90s as well. I have to tell you that that kind of chunky, thick guitar sound in the Smashing Pumpkins is one of those things that I just really like. Having said that, my absolutely favorite Smashing Pumpkins song, I don't think has that sound. So number 5, my 5th favorite Smashing Pumpkins song is Cherub Rock. This is probably the first Smashing Pumpkins song that I heard, and I probably heard it on a mixtape that a friend of mine sent to me that he had made, but I was immediately kind of hooked on that chunky guitar, chunky distorted guitar sound, and kind of the anger that was contained in the song and in Billy Corgan singing. 4th favorite would be, let's see, Rhinoceros. Can't remember what album Rhinoceros is from, but it just has elements in it and the way in which the song is constructed that I just like. It starts off without the chunky guitar sound, and then it's there. It shows up. I think Rhinoceros and most of the songs that by the Smashing Pumpkins I like have a certain melancholy feel to them, and Rhinoceros is that. 3rd would be Mayonnaise, which I get Mayonnaise and Rhinoceros sometimes confused, but I do like Mayonnaise a little bit more because it's a little bit more aggressive. And then Drown, which was on the singles, one of the ultimate kind of 90s movies. It was on the single soundtrack. Drown is just an absolutely great song. And if it weren't for the next one, which I think I've mentioned in a video before, Drown would be my favorite Smashing Pumpkins song, but it's not. My favorite is 1979. I have this feeling that Billy Corgan and I are just about the same age. We're not exactly the same age, you know, we're close, but 1979 reminds me of the 1970s. It reminds me, I don't know why, but it creates that nostalgic kind of melancholy feeling of the 1970s for me, and of being, you know, a real kid in the 1970s. Now, as far as I know, the song may have nothing to do with that at all, but that's what it reminds me of, and I absolutely love that song. I will leave links to all those songs down below. Sorry if there's something creepy in the videos that I link. Sometimes I put a link that has the video, sometimes it's just the song. I will leave a link to all 5 of those songs down below. Would love to hear what your favorite is of those 5, or if you have a different favorite Smashing Pumpkins song, let me know. Also love to hear your thoughts about any of the books that I read or am reading. Anyway, look forward to your comments in the comment section below, and as always, thank you for watching.